Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends. These are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, here we are, another episode of Behind the Dreamers. Have an awesome guest coming on today. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about him before I welcome him on. He has helped tens of thousands of people internationally to overcome their resistance to change and to create more success, peace, and impact in their lives. He speaks from his experience of being on the edge of financial ruin, business failure, and divorce. He shares the secrets that allowed him to avert the potential disaster and transform all areas of his life. So that just right there sounds exciting to me. So I think we're going to be in for some good stuff today. I'm excited to get him on here. But before we do that, I do want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. So today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube production, photography work, or a new headshot, Walt can help you find a solution to meet your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, you want to go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Production. If you are in need of turnkey special event, Clow is your go-to. To learn more about him and his work, go to upbeatmediapro.com. All right. So I'm excited to get my guest on here today. I don't know why I am tongue twist tied today. I cannot talk for some reason. I think I've been talking too much. Chris Felton is an Amazon best-selling author, a seven-figure entrepreneur, and founder and principal of his own financial services firm. Chris leads and trains hundreds of agents across the U.S. and has helped over 17,000 people become more financially literate and experience financial relief. With his latest book and speaking series, Think and Grow You, Chris is focused on helping driven entrepreneurs break through plateaus in their growth by learning how to get out of their own way and take their success, peace, and impact to the next level. So welcome to the show, Chris. Super excited to have you here today.
Jennifer, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
It's going to be awesome. Awesome. As long as I can talk, we're going to be good.
It's all good. You sound good. All good.
I always have to laugh at myself. I've done so many of these. I always get a chuckle at them because it's like sometimes I'm just like, hey, it's just is what it is sometimes. You know, you just roll with the punches, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So you've got this book. I'm excited to hear about this. So I wanted to tell me a little bit about, I guess, our audience, a little bit about the inspiration behind this.
Yeah. I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years and I feel like I've made every mistake possible. And, and I know what it's like to be really stuck. Jennifer, I don't know if you've ever been stuck in your life ever.
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah, a few times. I know what it's like to be stuck, to live in fear, doubt, worry. It's a horrible place to live. It's also really frustrating when you feel like you're doing everything possible and nothing changes. I don't know if you've ever been there before. Mm-hmm. But coaching people over the last 20 some years, it's painful as a coach to watch people get so stuck that they literally think that quitting on their goals, dreams, and aspirations is the only route.
Right.
And I was so close to doing that, Jennifer, but I didn't. I realized that I had to change. I had to grow. I was the common denominator of all my problems. And so I went all in on my personal growth and development and invested, tens of thousands of dollars and spent thousands of hours, studying me and figuring out how my mentality was creating my results. And we have had a miraculous transformation over the last several years. And so I wrote the book because I want people to, invest a micro fraction of the cost in the book and hopefully a fraction of the time and learn from me and get better results than I did in a shorter period of time with less investment. So I just want to impact millions of people with the message.
Yeah, this is good. I think our journeys are similar and they're not in some ways. I mean, I think there's some parallels here because I don't know if I shared this with you. I was in the network marketing space for 22 years. And so I was in the pink bubble. Everybody knows what the pink bubble is. And when you're in that space, you do have a lot of mentors and you do get a lot of personal development. But I always tell this story that, I was in that company for 17 years before I really had this like crisis happen. And when I had that happen, I didn't really know that crisis was going to be the defining moment that would lead me on to this journey of, I call like self-discovery, rediscovery, whatever you want to call it. But it was the catalyst for me recognizing that when you, like what you said, that I was the common denominator in a lot that was going on in my life. So it wasn't even so much about why I would have success. I did a lot of cool things. I set a company record in another company, earned a car in 45 days in the company. So I did some really cool things, but I had a lot of crisis also going on in my life too. And one of the things was when I went through that, it was almost like I realized that I had this light bulb go off in my brain that goals and crises are very similar in how we go about getting them, because there's always this high when we conquer it, right? Like when you conquer the crises or when you conquer the goal, right? And then immediately there's this letdown that happens where you go, oh, what next? Do I go to another goal or do I go to another crisis? And that's what I always joke about in my life, is that I was continually chasing crises and goals back and forth simultaneously sometimes. Very climatic, right? Sometimes you got to get hit in the head a few times before you realize, stop doing that. So when you were talking about getting stuck, yeah, like I woke up one day, and I don't even know, it may have been like several days I woke up and I'm like, why do I keep doing all these stupid things? I have success. I can't keep it. Why do I keep making all these dumb mistakes and getting stuck? And then I realized that common denominator was the things I was thinking about and how they were manifesting very differently in the different areas of my life. And so like you, I spent a lot of money and went all in on personal development and trying to heal myself. And so that's where I'm at as well. I'm actually building a program out right now that's really taking all those 20 something years that I've had like you and trying to find a way to inspire people and say, hey, maybe you can cut down on some of the time. You don't have to take as long as I did and stumble as many times, So I think what you're doing is great. And I think it's awesome. And I say kudos to, whatever that journey is that you have to take to have that eye-opening experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think a lot of people, have that hero's journey, but they don't document it. So I took the last 14 months, like getting it out. So I'm ecstatic to get the message out.
Yeah, this is very cool. And you said it's in pre-order. It's gone out tell me a little bit about all that. You kind of told me before, but tell our audience real quick.
Yeah. We launched pre-orders February 1st, and we hit Amazon #1 in 2 different categories last Saturday. We're #2 in Canada, and yeah, the feedback's been phenomenal. And then they ship February 28th.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this is going to go out pretty quick. So hopefully they'll hear all this and they can get in there and get this book and check this stuff out. So, and then you're speaking too now. You work with train other agents. Am I correct? And so are you doing like some speaking out in the public, or is this really within your community?
For the last 24 years, I've spoke inside of my company, which is about 55,000 agents across North America. So I've always been known as kind of like the mindset guy. And I get asked to speak a lot because what you'll find in the book is it's very self-deprecating, and it's very much me sharing my dirty laundry of like, I was a jackass, and then I realized I was a jackass, and then I did this to stop being a jackass, and then, leveled myself up. So I get asked to speak a lot because of the relatability, and it speaks to people. And then, last November 2021, I had a mentor call me who's sold 3.5 million books, and he's made 20 million in speaking fees. And he was actually the light. He lit the flame of like, dude, you need to get this thing out, and I'll help you, your content, my, writing style, so to speak, to make sure that it's impactful and the writing's tight and it flows and all that. So, but yeah, so now I'm, still doing what I do, full time with my entrepreneurial business, but stepping out into the public space to see what I can do with it. So yeah. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Well, and I think, when you have a story like that, and I think that the relatability is what is so huge with this stuff, because, I always say that, when I bring all these people on the show, and this is why I like my show to be really about how do we talk about the good and the bad in this, because the entrepreneur's journey is a hero's journey in itself, right? And the people that stick around for the long haul have to do discovery. I mean, we don't just arrive. You don't just wake up and it's like all of a sudden you've learned all the skills to be an entrepreneur and how to evolve this, because it's not even so much about the technical is in as much as it's who we become as a human being in that process, right? And you kind of said that when you were saying, I was a jackass and I had to admit, like all that stuff comes up. And I think we all have those moments. Maybe we use different words, but we all have those moments where like the ego's in the way and we really have to come back to like, how do we get relatable, authentic, get into the deep with this and learn who we are as a human being so that we can build these businesses? But I love that you're being able to take that and now make that open for other people and relate that in an honest and authentic way. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the subtitle of the book is, how to get out of your own way and level up your life.
Yeah.
Right. So we all get in our own way and we all have patterns of self-sabotage and patterns of, I felt like I had thousands of them, but it is really getting back to, who are you really? And, we were in kindergarten, Jennifer, and, our parents, teachers, just be yourself.
Right.
I don't think we ever really bought that, but in my late, I got to be somebody else. I got to do this. I got to do that. Now I'm 51. I'm probably more myself than I've ever been. I should just pay attention to my kindergarten teacher. But that's, a lot of it's just stripping away the BS and getting back to who you really are. And you're right. It's quite the journey, but it's worth it.
That's so good too that you said that too, because it's just funny. This morning I was having this conversation. I was actually talking to my husband this morning. I was like, all the superficial stuff of life. It's like we go through this journey in life where we feel like we have to like get people to like us and like do all these stupid things and get in our own way, right? Like you're talking about, and then one day you just kind of get to the place where you're like, you know what? Strip all that away. Just take all that away and be the person that you're supposed to be. And then you're free. And when you're free to be who you can be, it's almost like now you can like step into your zone and do what you need, what you're called to do. You know what I mean? Because you take away all the need to have to please and all that excess stuff.
Yeah. It's, you're in the flow and you don't need to know, right? It's, it's huge and it's powerful. And, one of my quotes in the book is, we're a miracle and a mess at the same time.
That's good.
And I had a great mentor coach who helped me along my journey. But when he realized that, I was like, holy crap. You mean I'm not supposed to come here and get perfect?
Right.
And he's like, no, you're a miracle and a mess. And when I stopped, beating myself up and, looking at my flaws and going, well, those shouldn't be my flaws. Well, they are my flaws. And when I got to just, loving all parts, the good and the bad and the ugly, not that you don't need to work on some things and shore up some weaknesses and develop your strengths and all that, but that whole miracle and a mess and just, at some point going, you know what? I actually love myself and not in a conceited way, but a very powerful way. Then, it's amazing when you're in that mode. And you don't, I talk about approval addiction in the book. And I talk about all these different things where, we're allowing the outside world to dictate our thinking and which creates horrible results and cause me to drink too much and do all sorts of stupid stuff and overspend. And, but when you get to that authentic space, then it's like, now you can really serve people because it's not about you. It's really about others. And your results skyrocket.
Yeah, that's so good. I was like thinking about this. I told a friend the other day, but I don't know if I don't know what we were talking about, but one day I told him, I said, we're all projects. And I think when you get to that place where you just learn to accept your weaknesses and your strengths and you try to be better, but if you think about it, if we took away all of our weaknesses, we wouldn't have our strengths, right? Like, cause they kind of play off each other. And so I think it's just about, like you're saying, just embracing yourself for the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Being okay in your skin and saying, okay, maybe I'm not so great at this, but I'm really good at this. And let me play off the things I'm good at and not feel the need to have the approval. I think that if we didn't get anything out of this, that right there, we got out of this show. I'm all about the personal development. It's so funny we're even talking about this because this is the part in my program. Like my thing is divided into 3 parts, and the first part is about building the dream, and the second part is all the psychology. So it's all the stuff you and I are talking about right now, and then the last part's actually the business acumen. But it's interesting because when I work with and a lot of this I learned when I was going through the network marketing space, because what really frustrated me in that industry was that we worked so hard to bring people in, bring them in, but they were not psychologically equipped to be entrepreneurs because we sold them on a pipe dream of this will be easy. And you and I both know entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart. It is not easy. And so I got very, very frustrated because so many people would come in and I knew my journey going along that. And so it really sort of became kind of like this passion for me to say, look, there are really 3 parts of this whole idea of as an entrepreneur. You need to be able to dream. You got to be able to vision, right? You got to have business acumen, but you also need to know the psychology. You need to know all that stuff in the middle. And somewhere along the line, I find entrepreneurs are missing pieces. There's parts they either don't have the business skill and they're strong in mindset, or they have business acumen, they lack this part. And so that's really, I think what you're kind of touching upon is we start to, as we stay in long enough, we start to get those pieces kind of put together. And that's where I think that wisdom and the ability to share the knowledge that you have kind of comes from. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the way my book's laid out is there's 5 pillars. And one is, the first is getting out of your own way. And it's like, okay, what's the thinking that creates the results I don't like?
Right.
And then just recognizing the awareness and the patterns. And instead of going down the rabbit hole of the unconscious response, which is what most society does, the second pillar is, shifting, right? So what do you do to shift?
Yep. And
then the third is all about relationships, because everything you want in life comes from and through people. So It's good to have that rocking for you. And then the fourth is actual game plan, like executing. Like great thinking's awesome, but you got to begin to execute your plan, whether you're ready or not. You feel like you're ready or not, because a lot of people are like, well, once I'm fixed, then you'll be waiting freaking forever. And then the last is really the dream and the clarity and stuff that almost everybody hears about. But I think what's unique about my book is my point of view is very unique. And, clarity is one of those topics that, in dreaming and, in the personal development space, especially network marketing space, it gets beat up.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in trainings, Jennifer, going, the most successful people would get up there. You got to know what you want. You got to be clear. You got to know your why. And then I would, then would take notes. I'm like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. I got to do that. And then I'd go out and, 10 squirrels would pass me and I'd be chasing squirrels. And then finally, this is a great story. So we started making a move. So I'm invited to New York, Christmas time, and our company put us up to Waldorf. Unbelievable, right? At Christmas time. One of the coolest trips ever. So we're in this room with like 50 up and coming people. And it had been kind of like 3 years removed from like my bottoming out when we were, $250,000 in credit card debt. My wife wasn't sure she was staying in anyway. So we made a shift, right? We were moving in the right direction. So anyway, we're sitting there and one of our founders is up, and our 4 biggest people in the history of our company over 40 years. So he would bring up business topics. And then us as 50 people would say, well, I do this and I do that. And it was all in the how-tos, right? But we were missing one of the Canadian guys who was just lighting the world on fire. I think he was hungover. Anyway, so he came in and he was like 2 hours late. And I looked back and his arms were crossed and he was shaking his head. And he interrupted the whole meeting. And he said, what are you all talking about? Like, you're talking about all this how-tos and all this. He's like, here's the problem. Y'all don't know what you want. You can't explain it under a minute, and you can't explain your reasons why. You lack clarity. Because you lack clarity and you won't spend the time to think about it, then you get distracted and you jack around with all this stuff. and this is why I'm kicking your ass. And then he walked out and left. And I elbowed my wife. I'm like, done hearing I need to get clear message. And so we sat down. We said, what do we want? Well, we want financial independence. We want financial freedom. Okay, how do you even define it? How will we know we're there? But then, Jennifer, what we spent time doing is, why do we care? Because the Ferrari is the vehicle, but without the gas, which is the reasons why, because we are emotional people, middle-class thinkers, especially, we're mid-February, everyone's probably forgot their goals and they're not going to their gym anymore, right? From New Year's Day.
Me.
They set their goals, and but they don't have why. They think it's logical.
Right.
World-class people know it's emotional. So Marla and I sat down and we said, why do we want it? Well, we don't want to fight about money ever again. My kids were in Atlanta. I'm in Colorado. I'm like, I need to see them. I need to be a good dad. I need to teach something that I'm passionate about. So we spent hours talking about the reasons why, and we got stinking clear. So when people would ask me, what are you aiming for? What do you want? I'd be like, that. I'd be able to explain what it was, and then I would be able to back it up with reasons, and I could usually get it out in under a minute. And you've coached a lot of people. You know people.
Yep.
Hey, what do you want? And they're like, I like money and stuff, and like I want to like have
specific.
And they stammer, they hem and haw, but you've coached enough people. You know when someone's about ready to nail it, because like there's conviction, there's no hesitancy. It's like bum 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 bum. They're so clear. It's so powerful, and almost nobody is. Right.
Yeah, clarity is power. Definitely. I do write about that in my program too. So I'm with you on that all the way. And you're right. I think it's, it's almost like you can tell when, and because we've been there, when you've been like convicted on something, you're like, I'm going to do this. And you just know without a doubt, you're clear on that. And then there's been moments you're like, sounds good in theory. Like I'm going to do it, but you kind of have that, if it happens kind of thing. So I'm with you, and you can definitely tell. I love what you're doing, and that's why I said I think our journeys they're different, but there's some parallels definitely in there. And I think it's, I feel like all the years that I was in the network marketing space, I mean, like I said, it took me 17 years before I really went and kind of, I had mentors all along. I've had incredible mentors. I've been blessed. It's one thing I love about network marketing is that you are blessed to have mentors. But I think I took so much of it for granted for so long because I was dealing with I was in the way of all the things, and I laugh about it now because I actually stepped out of the company in 2021. I had clients with me the entire time that I was still servicing, but I really felt my calling was in a different area. And, it's just funny coming out of that, in hindsight, I feel like if I had taken everything I know now and had that back then, oh my goodness, like what I would have been able to do, you know what I mean? But journeys, it's the journey, and they're not linear by any means.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Yeah. And the course correction is massive, and the small steps compounding over time is the key. Right. And, everyone's trying to change 25 things in 2023 versus just focusing on one and driving that in, and right.
Consistency. Small change is over consistent time.
Small
right?
change.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I want to know, because this is with your book, and this was like a new endeavor. I mean, you're successful in your business, and we all have, like this right now, like I'm telling everybody, like this program I'm building, Chris, is the hardest thing I've ever done. I've written a book, but this is it. Like when I'm done with this, like I don't know that I could even create anything else, because this is just taking me forever. But I want to know from you, from writing your book, like what was probably the most challenging part of that for you?
I think the most challenging part is, a couple things, right? Because I talk about approval addiction in my book, right? And needing my name's Chris Felton. I'm a recovering approval addict, right? Right. So, hi, Chris.
I like that you said recovering. I like that you said recovery. Yeah.
Well, and we want acceptance from people, right? But approval is good until it isn't. And I didn't know, I tell my story in the book of, being a full blown approval addict. So, I want people to like me. I want people to like what I do. And so, but understanding how I get in my own way, approval addiction is one of those things that gets in my way. And so when somebody's like, that sucks, or, and I was working with a coach who's sold 4 million books or whatever. And so I would send, basically I would send a chapter over to him, Jennifer, and I'd be like, that's really good. And then he'd be like, that sucked. Right. And just understand. So my whole approval addiction, you don't get rid of it. You just got to understand when it runs you. So I'm like, all right, dude, let it go. Don't take it personally. Right. He's in your corner. So understanding that, and even as we're launching the book, and not everybody's going to be about it, right, but the feedback's been awesome. So that, I think that's a challenge. And I think anytime you're an entrepreneur, you got to read the chapter on approval addiction, because I talk about how I got through that, right, and how I still get through it. So it doesn't hang me up very, very much, but it's there because it'll always be there. And I think the second thing is just, like, enjoy the process, right? One of my quotes I use in the book is, there's no happy ending to an unhappy journey. And so I think probably what I'm most proud of with the book is I never lost enthusiasm for it. And yes, it was hard, and it was hard work, and I had to really learn how to write and communicate. But what my mentor, Steve, taught me, he said, dude, slow down to hurry up. Like, this is going to be out there forever. Your kids are going to read it. They're going to know things about you they never knew. Like, we got to make sure this is good, right? Because Jennifer, there's those companies out there, write a book in a week, and right. he's like, dude, if you want to sell 200 books, be a dumbass and do that. But if you want to create a work that you're freaking proud of and you get emotional about when you think about it, like, we need to bleed on this thing. And so that, like, I wanted to get it done, and he's like, slow down, dude. Right. And so the first draft took 9 months. Right. And then, he spent 30 hours on the fourth draft, polishing it, all that. So answering your question, approval addiction, but also just like remaining coachable, which has always been one of my hallmarks. Right. And not getting ahead of myself, because that's what our ego wants us to do. Our ego wants us to get ahead of ourselves, and telling myself, like, dude, it's going to be hard, but accept it and enjoy the freaking process. And I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is like, I enjoyed the whole thing, even though it was a challenge, even though I hit a bunch of roadblocks, even all that stuff. I stayed in the moment and stayed centered, and I think hopefully the responses, well, even if the response isn't there, shit, I did everything I could do. Right?
That's all that matters.
I did everything I could freaking do with this thing.
Yeah.
And I think the feedback's been phenomenal so far, but like, there's nothing else I would have changed, like zero regrets.
It's good. That's good. And I really like that you touching upon, even like the approval addiction thing, because I think that is a very real thing. And I can actually relate to some of that, because I feel like for a long time that was a big part of, and I think that goes back. I do a lot of the work I do is, really uncovering those limiting beliefs, is, tying that stuff back to why we do those behaviors that we do, right? Really. And I think the biggest part of that is self-awareness. It's becoming aware that you really have that whatever that is, and it's tied to something. It's kind of like, I was using the example of why dieting and exercise are so, and I'm glad that you brought up exercise, because I am an exercise person. I taught aerobics for many years. Exercising for me is like an unconscious competent thing. Like, it's a no-brainer. I just do it every day. But I didn't grow up doing that. I didn't grow up doing all that stuff. I didn't play sports. I had to get to that place. But it's so hard for people, because there's so many rooted belief systems and things that are tied into all that. So like, when you think about like eating and all of that stuff, why people overeat and stuff, like, it's tied to things. And so I think that whole thing that you're talking about, even too, approval addiction and stuff, I think these all go back to some of these belief things we have, about the need to do that. And self-awareness, I think that's the greatest thing, is when you can get the self-awareness around it and say, how is this causing a problem for me? And I think you and I have that's the journeys that we've gone through. We've recognized, hey, there's behaviors we're doing. They're not serving us well. They're impeding our success, and they're keeping us locked into our old habits and just frustration and even like, you know, I don't know about where you were, but even, you know, in my journey, I talked about that, you know, like from the outside in, people would look in and be like, she's got it all together. Her kids are doing great. Husband's doing great. But inside I was like internally just like dying. Like I was just like miserable and unhappy and like couldn't find what I was supposed to be doing. And it's so funny because now, you know, my life's very different now. And for the most part, like I'm a happy person. Like I enjoy what I get to do. I enjoy doing these conversations and talking to people and, you know, and helping people shine and all that stuff. That's the stuff I love to do, you know? And so it's like, we could have just figured that out earlier. It'd been great, you know?
Yep. Yeah. 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 No, that was me too. I was phenomenal at fooling people. That I had, but that's part of the approval addiction, right? I overspent so this created all my financial issues, right? I overspent to look a certain way. You know, I drove a car to make myself appear, you know, I was all about looking a certain way and it was all freaking BS, right? And it created a tremendous amount of financial stress between me and my wife. I mean, it led to lots of things. Yeah. So that's the whole like stripping away of like, I don't really give a rat's ass. I mean, I care about people,
right? And
that's why I wrote the book, because I want them to win, but I don't really care what they think. You know, for the most part, when I'm in control of my approval addiction, right? But then you can just get back to, you know, like you said, authenticity and speaking from your heart, and you can really guide people. So
awesome, Chris.
That's what it's all about. Yep.
Yeah,
for
this
sure.
is good. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I think it's awesome. And I think you know, whatever your journey is, I think it's great when you can get to that place where you can impart the wisdom on others. And hopefully, you know, there's always that person that needs to hear what you have to say. That's the thing I think that's so great about what we do, even on this, you know, on this show, is that, you know, I bring coaches on here all the time, and I feel like the right people need to hear the right thing from the right person. And we all take things in differently. And so that's what it's all about. If we can share what we've learned, our journeys, hopefully shave some time off for somebody else, help them reach success. That's what we're doing here, you know? So it's good stuff. I do want to ask you some fun questions, because I not that everything else hasn't been good here, but I always love to do these fun questions at the end, because I think it just kind of, I don't know, it shows the authenticity that you already are. So it'll go right in line with what we've been talking about. So apart from your book, because I know you've had a lot of mentors and stuff, any other like favorite book that you can be like, that was a book that was like just something I really needed to read?
Bob Proctor's book, You Were Born Rich. It's good. Unbelievable. Yeah. Probably my all-time favorite. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like to ask that question. Helps me with my book list.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Anyone's like, where do I start? Personal development journey. I'm like, get Bob's book, because he just nailed it.
My coaching program that I went through was actually through the Life Mastery Institute, and Mary Morrissey was part Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Dwayne Johnson, like all of those. I think Jack Bowen was like their mentor. So they kind of all have the same philosophy and stuff. So I get it. All right. Favorite guilty pleasure food?
Pizza. All freaking day long. I could eat it for breakfast. Unbelievable.
That's so awesome. I haven't had pizza in so long. It sounds good.
It's so good, but I never have it. Never have it. I can't. Yeah, it kills me.
I'd be in trouble too if I like. It's funny how we get like certain things and like it's like, you know, when we go to Cheddar's. I don't know if you remember Bennigan's, the restaurant.
Yeah.
Bennigan's. Okay.
Monte Cristo.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So when I was
with the jelly,
yes. Okay, so we used to go to Bennigan's way back when I was in college and high school, right? We get the Monte Cristo, right? Well, Cheddar's has Monte Cristos. You know, they have them. No. And so I've only been to Cheddar's like 3 times, and we were in there like, good. I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, and I'm sitting at the table and I'm like, dude, I just want a bite of a Monte Cristo. Like, can somebody order the Monte Cristo? I just want like a bite of a Monte Cristo with that jelly.
Oh my God.
Because I knew I was going to be sick. Like, there's no way I could eat that thing, right?
It's like 2,000 calories or something.
Fried just junk, you know, like, but that's what I was talking about. You brought it up. I used to love that. Yes.
Yeah, you just gave me a call. You gave me a college flashback. I talk about one of my best friends in the book, and he was a server at Bennigan's. I mean, he made bank. That place was always packed. always packed.
I loved Bennigan's. Yeah, I was in Houston at the time. There was one kind of in the Humble area that I used to go to. Yep, I loved Bennigan's. So, and that's why it's funny because Cheddar's has those Monte Cristos. A few times I've been in there, I'm like, dude, I just want a bite. Can somebody just get it? I just want the corner. So I can taste it, right? It's funny.
And all the jelly.
And all the jelly. All right. I know you've traveled all over the place. So I want to ask you, where's your favorite destination spot?
Tahiti.
Tahiti.
Believable. Best trip we ever took. It was a company incentive trip. We did everybody go Google the Paul Gauguin cruise ship. And we did all the islands on a cruise ship, just our company, top 100 people. Unfreaking believable.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome. I've been on a few company trips. I haven't been to Tahiti though, but yes, those are the best ones. You don't pay for them, right? Like they're just fun. You just get to go and
unbelievable. Yeah. All inclusive. It was amazing.
Yeah, I had went on one trip when I was with this other company for a short stint, and they were kind of spearheading the Dallas market. So I think we went to Cabo, and I took my daughter, and it was so fun because we just stayed like in an all-inclusive, place, and my daughter and I went, and we just had so much fun. It was so nice. Like no cares, no commitments, nothing. We just hung out for hours. It was so great. Loved it. All right. One last question I want to ask. And this one is like my stupidest question ever, but I love it. What is in your Amazon cart right now?
What's in my Amazon cart?
Is yours empty?
Yeah. I don't have an,
what kind of question is that?
I'm like, I don't have an Amazon issue. Is that an Amazon problem? Are you recovering?
It might be.
Anyway,
it might be.
My book. I bought my own book. No,
okay, anyway, you got your book in That's good.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, probably my last purchases have all probably been books.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty lame, sister.
Hey, it's all good. So. I love that question. But yours was the best because you gave me that look like she did not just ask that question. Amazon, like, what's in there? Well, and no, it is kind of funny because I find out the funniest things about people, like what's in their Amazon cart. Like, and my son, I'll tell you why I asked this, because my son has his tie to our account. And so, like, we have a family account, but then I have a separate one, and my son is like up underneath mine. And so he'll put stuff like put it in there for me to look at, things he wants me to try to convince me to buy. And so I go in there and I will find everything from like car parts to animal products to hair stuff. And I have to like move it to the save list, right? Because it's like in my list. And so I crack up when I ask that question because I always
that's a great question.
Yeah, I get the funniest answer. But yours was the best because she just looked at me like she did not just ask that question.
What the hell is she talking about?
This is great, Chris. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, get the copy of the book, learn a little bit more about what you're doing. I don't know. Maybe they want to hear more of your story or coach. I don't know. Where do we want to send them?
Yeah, chrisfelton.me. So I got kind of three main things I'm doing. Obviously, the book. Speaking, and then workshops. And the book is written in such a format that I have unlimited keynote talks. So, a team leader or somebody can like grab the book and say, Chris, I want you to come in and hit these 5 topics or whatever. And then I probably have 6 or 7 workshops in there that I'm developing. So I can custom tailor, the message to fit the crew. So just looking forward to doing more of that, and you can contact me at chrisfelton.me.
Perfect. Awesome. We'll make sure, too, when this goes out, we'll get the link in there so they know where to find you, too. But I always let you say it, so we have it in verbiage as well. Fun stuff, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on here today, being authentic and real and all your greatness, and glad that you're, on your way to the happy side of things and learning from everything that happened. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? That's how it goes.
Yeah. Amen. Thanks, sister. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We do want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy the show, please be sure you check us out, Facebook, give us a rating on iTunes, go hit that subscribe button on YouTube so we can keep sharing all these awesome stories. That's how we do this. Got to keep it going. And we do want to leave you guys with a final parting thought. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another. We will see you next time.